On a farm in Japan, a farmer is painting white stripes onto a black cow. Not as a joke, it won a scientific prize. Because those stripes cut the flies biting that cow by about half. And that is the real reason a zebra is striped, not to vanish in the grass, not to confuse a lion. Something you'd never guess. So if the stripes were never a disguise from predators, then who are they for? Stay, and you'll get both answers, the one everyone was told, and the one that replaced it. And the strangest part, the scientists who cracked it still can't say exactly how. Start with the answer you already carry. You were taught the stripes are a disguise. In tall grass, the black and white break up the zebra's outline, so a stalking lion can't tell where the animal ends and the grass begins. And in a running herd, all those stripes smear together into one dazzling blur, so a charging lion can't fix on a single body to pull down. Camouflage, or confusion. Hide, or dazzle. Two settings of the same instinct. The stripes are there to fool a hunter. It's a lovely idea, and an old one. Darwin turned it over. Alfred Russel Wallace, the co-discoverer of natural selection, argued the stripes were for concealment, a way to vanish in poor light. For most of a century, that was simply the answer. But the harder scientists looked at the hunter, the less the hunter fit. So a team decided to look through the lion's eyes, literally. In 2016, Amanda Mellon, at the University of Calgary, working with colleagues at UC Davis and Kaishu University in Japan, took real photographs of zebras and ran them through a filter built from what we actually know of a lion's vision, and a spotted hyena's. Predator eyes are not our eyes. They pull in far less fine detail. So the question became simple. From how far off can a big cat even resolve a single stripe? Not very far. Past about 50 meters in daylight, the stripes dissolve into flat gray. In the half-light of dusk, when big cats do much of their hunting, that collapses to about 30. On a moonless night, a lion has to be within roughly 9 meters before the pattern is anything at all. And by the time a lion is that close, it hasn't been fooled by anything. It has already smelled you, heard you, and picked you. Out on the open plains where zebras actually live, a lion spots a striped zebra as easily as it spots a plain brown antelope. Looking through the predator's own eyes, Mellon's team found no support at all for camouflage. The disguise doesn't work on the one thing it was supposed to fool. So if not the lion, then what? Someone had to weigh every theory at once. That someone was Tim Caro, a biologist then at the University of California, Davis. In 2014, in the journal Nature Communications, Caro and his colleagues did what the field had never quite done. They lined up every serious explanation for the stripes side by side. Camouflage, confusing predators, keeping cool, signaling to the herd, and avoiding biting flies, and mapped each one against where striped horses and their relatives actually live across Africa. Where are stripes bold? Where are they faint? And what in the environment moves with them? One thing moved with them, and only one. Not temperature, not lions, not the herd. Flies. The more biting flies a region carried. Horseflies, and the wider family they belong to, the tabnids, the bolder the striping on the animals living there. And where the stripes crept down under the belly, they traced the range of the tsetse fly. Caro's own summary was almost weary. Again and again there was more striping where there was more annoyance from biting flies. The predator was never the problem. The insect was. But a map is only a pattern. To show the flies caused the stripes, you have to watch a fly meet one. So they did. In 2019, Caro's group dressed ordinary horses in coats, a gray one, a black one, and a black and white striped one, and swapped them, coat to coat, on the same animals. The striped coats drew a fraction of the landings the plain ones did. And here is the control that seals it. On each horse's bare, unpainted head, poking out above the coat, the flies settled just as often as ever. Same horse, same afternoon. The only thing that changed was the pattern. Slow the footage down and you can watch it happen. A tabinid comes screaming in toward a striped hide at full approach speed, and then simply fails to brake. It doesn't slow, doesn't set down, it overshoots, or veers off, or bounces away, like a plane that can't find the runway. In 2020, Martin Howe, at the University of Bristol, ran a version with striped rugs and even checkerboard rugs, and the flies kept their distance from those too, a detail that will matter more than it looks in a minute. And in 2023, Caro's team showed that the crisper the black and white edges, the stronger the effect. The flies weren't being turned away by a smell or a taste. They were being beaten by a picture. Which brings us back to that farmer and his cow. His name is Tomoki Kojima, And in 2019, at the Aichi Agricultural Research Center in Japan, working with Kyoto University, he did the thing a zebra can't tell you it's doing. He tested it on purpose. 6 black cows. He painted 2 with white zebra-like stripes, left 2 plain, and, here's the clever part, painted 2 with black stripes. Black on black, stripes you could barely make out. Then he counted the flies. The black and white cows were bitten about half as much as the rest, roughly half the biting flies, from paint alone. And the cows wearing black on black? No benefit whatsoever. Swarmed as heavily as the plain ones. Which quietly rules out the boring explanations. It wasn't the smell of the paint, or the feel of it on the hide. The only thing that helped was the one thing a fly could see, black set hard against white. You can shield a living animal from being bitten by drawing on it. In 2025, that discovery won Kojima and his colleagues an Ig Nobel Prize, the award for research that first makes you laugh and then makes you think. Laugh at the striped cows, then sit with what they mean. Because it means the answer is real enough to use. So that's it then. It's the flies. Case closed. Except the moment the scientists were sure of the answer turned around and handed them 3 questions back, and they can't answer a single one of them yet. In 2025, in the journal Biological Reviews, Hamish Ireland at the University of Edinburgh and Graham Ruxton at the University of St. Andrews laid the whole story out and asked a sharper version of the question. Not why do stripes exist? We have a good answer to that now. But why these stripes in this shape on this one animal and almost nothing else? Because a good answer is supposed to explain the details, and this one, so far, doesn't. Here's the first crack. Biting flies don't only bite zebras. The same horse flies, the same tsetse, torment antelope and buffalo and wildebeest across the very same plains, animals that stayed a plain, solid brown. If stripes are such good armor against flies, why did evolution hand them to zebras and to almost no other big animal in Africa? The best answer we have doesn't say. Here's the second. Look at where the stripes sit and how they shift across a zebra's body, bold across the flank, fine on the face, fading as they run down the legs. Fly defense on its own doesn't cleanly predict that map. Something else may be shaping exactly where the stripes fall. One idea is that the pattern also helps zebras recognize their own kind and band together. But that idea hasn't really been put to the test. And the third crack is the strangest, because it's the how. We know the flies won't land. We still can't say why the picture stops them. Remember Martin Howe's checkerboards, the ones the flies avoided just as stubbornly as the stripes. For years, the elegant guess was that stripes scramble a fly's sense of its own motion as it drops in to land, an optical trick called the aperture effect. Tidy theory. But a checkerboard isn't stripes, and it broke the landing just as well. So the neat mechanism was quietly set aside. We are certain the pattern works. We are not certain what, inside a fly's pinhead of a brain, it actually does. 3 questions, sitting there inside the answer, waiting. And if that lands as a letdown, if it sounds like scientists fumbling something they were meant to have closed, turn it over one more time. Because it's the opposite of a letdown. 100 years ago, the answer was a guess, a pretty story about lions and long grass that felt true and turned out not to fit. Today the answer is a cause you can hold in your hand, measured across a whole continent, filmed one fly at a time, painted onto a cow and counted. We traded a story we couldn't test for a fact we can use, and the reward for answering the question well wasn't silence. It was 3 better questions, precise ones, that we now know exactly how to ask. Why zebras and no one else? Why the stripes fall where they fall? What a stripe actually does inside the eye of a fly. That isn't a mystery shrinking. That's a mystery coming into focus. So here's the small thing to carry out of all this. Your whole life, you've looked at a zebra and seen a disguise, something built to disappear, to fool the big and the fast and the sharp-toothed. It was never any of that. The stripes were never hiding the zebra from a lion. They're a sign, posted for something the size of your fingernail, that says, in a language we are only beginning to read. Not here. Land somewhere else. We can copy that sign now. We can brush it onto a cow and watch the flies give up. And we still, mostly, cannot tell you why it works. Which means the next time you see a zebra, you're not really looking at an answer. You're looking at a question, one we've finally learned how to ask, walking around on 4 legs, wearing it in black and white.